Well, game one of this series, the Detroit Tigers dominated, and now game two looked a lot like the exact opposite. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday here, the halfway point of the week. The Detroit Tigers did not look very sharp in their baseball game on Tuesday. They get crushed. I mean, like, crushed is probably far too dramatic. The pitching was not the worst thing I've ever seen. The offense might have been. This was a 5-0 loss for your Detroit Tigers, evening the series at 1 apiece going into the finale today, assuming you're listening to this on Wednesday, April 16th. And the Tigers are now at 10-7 on the season. So, first off, I want to start off with our favorite segment. Actually, I'd like to do a poll. I'm pretty sure everyone's favorite segment is stuff. I mean, like, what went right is kind of just, always fun because we're talking about the positives, but stuff is just, it's hard to beat, hard to beat stuff. First thought after this game, though, that was the first game this season that felt really uncompetitive, to be honest with you. Even there was was that game 2 against the Dodgers that kind of like got away from them and ended up not being one of those games. Wasn't like the closest score ever, but this was the first game that really was, again, didn't really feel like at any point in the game they were going to get themselves back into it. And even that, and like this is kind of me being optimistic and glass half full type of comment here for sure. I understand and acknowledge that, but like even with that, it was a 3-run game in going into the bottom of the 7th, and then both of the runs in the bottom of the 7th were unearned. Like they gave up. If you just look at earned runs, it was a 3-0 ball game. Obviously, that's a slippery slope. I'm not trying to say that this was a close game. It wasn't. The offense was absolutely lifeless. Did they end with one hit? 3 walks, no runs. You're not going to win too many games scoring 0 runs. I don't know if you're aware of that, but it's very hard to accomplish that feat. Has not been done very often in baseball history. So look, like that's going to happen sometimes, right? Like nobody is going to play a perfect 162. It's still the middle of April. Everything's okay. They're still 10-7 and at the top of the division, and you still have a chance to go win this series. Win today, win on Wednesday, and no one will care that you laid an egg on game 2 here. That is the advantage that you give yourself when you just get off to a good start to the season. You get to win a little bit of grace and whatnot just in general. But that is the advantage of winning the first game of a series. And that's something the Tigers have done really, really well outside of the Dodgers series, obviously. That I think they've won the first game in every single series since. That is how you keep your head above water after a game like this. That's how you do it. That's how you maintain competitiveness over long stretches of time. Winning the first game of a series is so important, and it gives you a lot of flexibility and wiggle room the rest of a series. So like that was again, that was pretty much my initial reaction to the end of this game was just like, that sucked. That was not a close or competitive game. There really isn't like a go-to excuse I have in the back pocket to even really defend them. That just kind of was brutal. And it can all be salvageable still. if you go out there and you win the finale on Wednesday. So let's do that, shall we? What went wrong in this ball game? We're actually going to start with Jack Flaherty. I kind of, cheated a little bit and already talked about the offense, but I do want to start with Flaherty because he was not very sharp in this game whatsoever. Goes 4 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts in the home run against. His ERA, even after this, subpar performance, is still 2.53, having a fantastic season so far. This had nothing to do with stuff. This was all command. He had quite literally no command of anything he was throwing. I have not seen him look like that since becoming a Detroit Tiger. The slider, the fastball, both were just all over the place. The changeup, he tried to go to lefties, and it worked a couple of times, but was still, he had one changeup that was, the uncompetitive pitch of the game that just was in the other batter's box. Tried to go to that like knuckle curve a couple of times, got a couple of swing and miss, got a couple of strikeouts with it. But even that, lacked consistency. But he is going to mostly throw fastballs and sliders, and both of those pitches, he had no clue where they were going all night. And it's hard to win that way. Obviously, it's hard to have an effective outing. Honestly, the fact that his line even looks as decent as it does, I find impressive, and I think is a testament to how talented he is. Like he almost muscled out 5 innings. Was at 100 pitches because he was in a million 3-ball counts. And again, like really just had no feel for anything. The fastball, it really felt like every fastball he threw was over the heart of the plate. You go look at that home run pitch. That is 92 middle, baby. And he had another one that probably should have been a home run. Instead, it ended up being a double, and then the blooper. Baseball finds a way. But even that, that ball was absolutely grooved. And then the sliders were the opposite. The sliders weren't over the heart of the plate. The sliders were bouncing in the dirt. So, just an off start. Again, he's still really good. He has a 2.53 ERA. His ERA was sub 2 going into this outing. He's okay. The stuff is still fine. Jack Flaherty's still really good. No issue. Just a bad night. And it's really reassuring that Jack Flaherty can put together that type of outing, and then you can turn it over to the bullpen. And again, earned runs. There were no more given up, and you gave up 3 earned runs. And even if you're like, you can't do that, that's cheating, fine. Still, like 5 runs is not an insurmountable lead to or deficit to overcome, rather. So I think that it still kind of shows that the pitching is the strongest unit of this team. I want to talk about Dillon Dingler behind the plate. I thought Dillon Dingler had a really rough night defensively. Talk about his offense too, but man, defensively struggled. We'll talk about that and obviously transition into the offense here right after this. Got to talk to you. I'll tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks. Basketball and hockey playoffs are heating up, and there's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real rewards than with Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. With Prize Picks, you can simply pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can even combine players across sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, and more for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Luka Doncic in the postseason, going to be really fun. The Lakers are the talk of the town, unless you're from the beautiful city of Detroit, in which case the going back to work Pistons are in the postseason. Super fun. Hockey also, you're at a really crucial time in the regular season. You have clinchers still to be made. Then you have playoffs there. Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews scores his 400th career goal. There's so much to look at Prize Picks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in, as always. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping the series finale here against the Milwaukee Brewers. Rough game last night, as you're listening to this, on Tuesday with a 5-0 loss. We talked about the pitching. We kind of touched on the offense a little bit. The thing that I really want to drive home defensively, this was a rough defensive game all around. I'm going to pick on Dingler here specifically because I thought he had a rough night, but we'll talk about Andy Ibanez in a second. I want to make it very clear. This was a brutal defensive performance team-wide. This thing rolls, 9 players deep, this comment. Let's start with Dingler, though. He has to be quicker with stolen base attempts. This is a guy that has a good enough arm to be somebody who prevents stolen bases, and he almost had like a hitch or something in his pop. When he gets up from the crouch, his pop time isn't slow. He just has like a hitch when he gets to the very top, and it almost slows him down. A little bit of slow feet there as well, from what I could see. Also, did every ball he threw down there end up in center field? No, I think Sweeney caught one. Sweeney really poor at receiving the baseball, though. Those were not like horrific, terrible, unreceivable throws, especially at that level. You should be able to one bounce to second base so that the tag is low and already there for you. The ball just went into center field seemingly every single time. Really, for a team that is usually so prepared for what their opponents do, the Brewers are a team that runs a lot and is super, super aggressive on the base paths, and the Tigers just looked completely overwhelmed by the fact that they were aggressive on the base paths and stealing a lot. Really testing Dingler. I think they went 100%, 3 or 3 or 4 for 4 even on stolen base attempts. None of them, one was semi-competitive, and Sweeney laid a poor tag. He should have got him too. So that was really frustrating to me, because like the offense, we've seen it produce. We know that they're not going to get shut out every game the rest of the season. There's ebbs and flows with that. Hopefully, we'll talk about it, right? Like hopefully it doesn't spiral and turn into a big issue. This is something that's very controllable and that they did really poorly. So that really frustrated me. It's also important to note, at least, that last year the Tigers were amazing at preventing stolen bases. That was their strong suit. They were one of, if not the best team in baseball. They were really high up there at a minimum in preventing stolen bases and fewest stolen bases against. Now, part of that is pitching. I'm a catcher at heart. I'm going to defend the the boys behind home plate there. Part of that is how pitchers approach that too, but that's something they're going to have to get a lot better at, because if they don't, scouting reports travel quickly in Major League Baseball, because it's the major leagues. So you're going to have to figure that out. Like I said, though, defense as a whole was sloppy. Andy Ibanez, a couple of really brutal plays over at third base in this one. Torkelson, usually really good at scooping the baseball, not in this one. Just really rough all around. And you can't have a conversation about this game without breaking down the offense, which was the biggest eyesore of this game. I wanted to start with the other ones for like a burying the lead sense, or almost like a let's just get these out of the way, because we all know the main attraction of what went wrong in this episode is the offense that only put one hit together. Riley Greene is who we'll start with. Back in the lineup today, goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. The third plate appearance really kind of perfectly highlights what he is, looking like on a consistent basis. He saw 3 consecutive sinkers that are low velocity that were not over the heart of the plate. They were on the outer half of the plate for sure, but they were catching the zone. Okay. These were not like painted on the outside corner. Oh, like what a, beautiful location. No, they were just kind of fired in there just outside of that middle box. If you're to break the strike zone down into a 3x3 grid, like they were, they weren't exactly on the black, and he did not even swing at a single one. Like legitimately just stared at all three. Yeah, man. Like clearly he is not seeing the ball well. He's not picking it up very well. He's not going to look like this forever. I know that it's frustrating. You can tell he's feeling it. Like he is beyond frustrated. That kind of goes without saying. If you watch the games, you can tell like this is not going to last forever. He was an all-star at a very young age a year ago. He will figure it out. But that doesn't make it any more again, frustrating, but B, any more important for him to figure it out. You can't just be like, well, he'll figure it out eventually and just like sit back. Like clearly some adjustments need to be made, but the overarching theme is like this offense is not deep enough to be able to afford a lack of production from someone of Riley Greene's caliber. That is the biggest thing to me. He needs to at least figure it out to get back to an even playing field and be an average hitter at a minimum here very quickly, because this offense is going to plummet. We've been all excited about the great offense so far this year. That is going to go away so fast if Riley Greene can't snap out of it here. So not to put it all on one guy. Kerry Carpenter goes 0 for in this game. Torkelson goes 0 for, right? Nobody hit well in this ball game except maybe Gleyber Torres. But like Riley Greene is too prominent a fixture in this really organization, just top to bottom, not even lineup card, just the entire organization as a whole, to be able to afford that dry spell for a prolonged period of time. Justin Henry Malloy in this game had an at-bat where he got a groovable fastball. I'm talking like that ball off the bat even, I thought was, sent into orbit, and we were finally going to get on the board, and it was going to go 900 feet. And it was a lazy fly ball with no exit velocity straight into the left fielder's basket. That perplexed me. Like that genuinely, like borderline concerned me. That should be a play or a pitch rather that he is all over, and he timed it well. Like he wasn't late. He just completely missed the sweet spot of the bat there clearly. So just something I wanted to point out again in a sea of offensive struggles. That was another one that should have gone differently. Dillon Dingler, we talked about his defense. Offensively, he struggled in this game, as did everybody. Again, copy and paste, rinse and repeat. But he had one at-bat specifically in this game. I think it was his first at-bat. It was one of his first two plate appearances of the game. Go watch it. I'm not kidding. I think he got 3, maybe even 4, but I think it was 3 consecutive pitches that were literally right down the middle and did nothing with any of them. Like, I think he fouled off all 3. I'm talking, it was fastball right down the middle, fastball right down the middle, slider right down the middle. And he did not do a single thing with any of them. That obviously is something that the Tigers want to be different going forward. And then as a whole, the team goes 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. This isn't even like a RISP thing. They couldn't get on base, period, dude. It didn't matter if it was, a lot of people on base, nobody on base. It didn't matter. They couldn't hit, period. So not really a RISP episode, just kind of frustration offensively as a whole. Let's talk about what went right, because it's not very much. Okay, admittedly, it's not very much. I do want to give props to the bullpen that had 0 earned runs, as I have, specified about 4 different times this episode already. Holton, Hannafy, and Brebbia. Hannafy is responsible for 2 unearned runs. So he was on the mound for that, but that was the inning where, Andy Ibanez couldn't catch the ball and was throwing it into the dirt. Like that is, again, as I started the show, that is the reassuring theme, the reassuring thing with this team. The overarching theme is just, even when the offense is dull and brutal, more times than not, I still feel confident that, okay, you're, one inning and one, bloop walk and a blast, and we're right back in it type of thing. And that is a nice safety net to have. And I think that as frustrating as it is, these games are honestly where that is highlighted and exemplified more. So I do want to point it out, even though I know most people listening to this are pissed off with how they looked on Tuesday. Want to talk Javi. He went over, but I do want to put him in the category of what went right in this game. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to you today about our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing better than catching an MLB game live, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of ballpark food. If you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last minute deals, all-in pricing, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal right before the first pitch. Game Time is also the official ticketing partner of Locked On, and as the Detroit Tigers are in season, and that is a beautiful thing. Lest we not take that for granted and go watch some Tigers baseball at the beautiful Comerica Park, and I can count on Game Time to make that happen. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. You're going to create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, everybody, welcome back. Your third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, even after a 5-0 uncompetitive, relatively speaking, loss to the Milwaukee Brewers. The only other player, I thought Gleyber Torres had some pretty solid at-bats, and that is the value of bringing him in. Like, even when the offense is asleep and looks like it is, forgot that they had a game today, you have somebody like that who's putting together professional at-bats, trying to make stuff happen, putting the ball in play, working counts, getting a hit. I thought that I don't know how he didn't score on that, that play. He's at third with one out. Not that play, that half inning. You have the middle of the lineup and a man on third with one out and don't score a run. Not a great look there. Javi goes 0 for 4, but look, bear with me a little bit, okay? He goes 0 for 4, but this was a shutout loss where your starting pitcher struggled. So, like, what else am I going to put in what went right? Okay, there's not a whole lot to choose from here. The mechanics were so noticeably different. I don't know if he was just more dramatic in this game than he has been all season up to this point, or if it is the Brewers, like where their TV is placed and where their the angle is for their pit for, I don't know, like for the baseball game. There's a word for that. The angle, the view from, the camera well down, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Just like the angle that the camera is set at to view home plate for pitches. Maybe it was just that. Maybe they just have a unique angle that really kind of showcased it a little bit more. But my goodness, his hand placement is night and day different from where we have used to, or where we have been seeing it for many years now, and where it's been his entire career. He's like hands like relaxed, little bit of a bat waggle going on there. Just his hands are at his hips. Like this is a guy that notoriously is so aggressive with the bat path that he's, the bat is basically above his head when the pitcher is in his windup, and he still does, his mechanics are still his mechanics for his swing, and his load and whatnot is still looks the exact same. So he still, puts the hands up and brings them down, but like getting in a more ready position and not having the crazy violent, bat path that he has had his entire career is I think nice to see. That's a real tangible mechanical change for him. And he's taking pitches. I mean, my goodness, I'm blown away. He worked the count almost every single at bat he had in this game. He didn't strike out. He was putting the ball in play. He had a full count in this ball, maybe even 2 full counts in this ball game. Again, the power is zapped. It is gone. It is never returning. Okay. You're never going to hit, have 30 home run Javi again. It is completely gone. I don't know if it's the bat or what it is, the back rather, or what it is, but it's erased. Okay. The thing that you can still salvage is putting together solid competitive at-bats at the bottom of the lineup. And he has objectively done that. Does it make him worth the contract? No. Am I like trying to be a slappy and like convince you that it is? No. Okay. I don't want to read about how that's what I'm trying to get across. I'm simply saying there is a salvageable value in Javi still in there. And I feel like we have action. Now, I'm not saying it's going to last the whole season ever. We need either, rather. Goodness, I can't speak. I need a lot bigger of a sample size. All right. But I think that this is a good place to start. And I do want to give him credit. Let's talk stuff. On top of the fact that they looked completely lifeless in the batter's box, even when they didn't, they had bad luck in this game. And this is not me saying that they got unlucky. They deserved to lose. They were the worst team for literally all 9 innings. Okay. But even when they were in a position where you're like, oh, maybe they break the seal here, Javi, line drive, smokes a ball to left field, right at the left fielder. Torkelson, even to end the game, crushes a baseball. It goes in literally the deepest part. The deepest part. Can I not talk? The deepest part of the park. Like literally there's like a little like jet out there at the wall right where the center fielder catches that baseball. Like it just really felt like they couldn't win. And that happens. It's a long season. That happens sometimes. Javi playing some more center field wasn't really challenged still. But that's the second time that he's played center field this season. And I don't think the Tigers are afraid to keep throwing him back out there. So, okay. Want to highlight Jackie Robinson Day. Talked about that at the very beginning of the show as well. Jackie Robinson, one of the most important athletes in the history of this country. I think it's an awesome tradition that baseball has where everybody wears 42. I also think that, recently they started doing the thing where the 42 is blue and whatnot. Just the amount of stories and conversations that it sparks throughout baseball, I think is so beautiful every year. And like I said, this beautiful game that we all love and that is for me, like genuinely is my life. And I know that a lot of people listening to this feel the same way. It literally would not look the way it does or be the game that it is without the sacrifices and contributions that Jackie Robinson made. So tip of the cap to, again, one of the most important figures in the history of baseball, certainly, if not the most important, and one of the most important in the history of sports in our country. So shout out to Jackie Robinson on Jackie Robinson Day. We did have an injury update as well from the Detroit Tigers earlier this week. Not a whole lot of notable stuff. The only thing that really caught my eye was that Parker Meadows is hitting again, and I'll take it, right? Like I'll take any change of what we've seen. So he's been cleared to hit. He still can't throw. He's that was worded probably way too dramatically. He is still not cleared to throw. I'm sure if his life depended on it, he could throw a baseball right now. He still has not been cleared to throw, but he is hitting, and that is something. That is progress in my eyes. So I'm going to take it and run. Does that mean that he's going to be back as soon as he's eligible to come off the IL? I have no clue. I'm not a doctor. I don't know where he stands currently. The Tigers are being very hush-hush about this whole thing. But I am holding out hope that is good news. Matt Vierling doing everything, cleared to do just about everything you can do on a baseball field, which is a great sign, which also means that I feel like a rehab assignment is very, very close for him. We will see if that is the case. We hope that is the case. He would do wonders for this lineup, extending it a little bit more even, and it's been great without him. So, that's good. I say that, on a day when they look terrible. And then obviously just in center field to get somebody out there because they don't really have much of a center fielder at the moment. That's not even Ryan Kreidler's shade. He's literally a shortstop. Like, that's just all there is to it. Lastly, we'll end with Cater Montero has been recalled. He is in Milwaukee and is going to start the game on Wednesday. He is going to start the series finale. against Jose Quintana, who has been, I think he has one start under his belt this year, but it was 7 innings of shutout ball or something like that. He's been solid to start off the year. Kader Montero. So this is, I don't, unless there's an injury we don't know about that hasn't been reported yet, but I don't think that that's the case. It sounds like the Tigers just have 2 straight weeks without an off day and want to create one for their rotation, basically. So they're going to call up Montero. He's going to get the start. We'll see how he looks. He had a great spring training. A lot of people thought he should have made the team out of camp anyway. So hopefully he can carry that momentum into the major league regular season here. I'd imagine they just send somebody that has minor league options in the bullpen down. And then after the game, they'll just do a reverse and just switch exactly what they just did. And we'll see what happens. That's what I'm imagining. But again, maybe they're hiding something that's way more dramatic and way more of a bigger deal than I think it is. But from where I sit, that's what's going to happen. And then we'll just go back to the rotation being where it's at. And they'll pick up with, again, an off day, quote unquote, for the 5 starters in the Tigers rotation, trying to preserve those arms. 2 weeks without an off day in April. I kind of get it. I know that, some people want to see the 250 plus innings pitch starter still or whatever. At the end of the day, you got to prioritize, these guys' health and their arms. And you got to make sure that you do not burn them out in April, right? If it's 2 straight weeks without an off day in August, I don't think this happens, but it's April. So gotta make sure everyone's healthy and around for the long haul. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping the series finale here. Hopefully go get a win. Go get a win, and nobody cares that you looked terrible on Tuesday. All right? Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.